We're live on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra. In Kumasi, we are on Love 99.5 FM affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions. You're on myjoyonline.com. We're live on ATL FM in Cape Coast, Bederin FM in Bumkrugu, Radio Somali in Wa. We are live on X Spaces. We're on Facebook. The Midday News is sponsored by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity. Petrosol is always a delightful experience. Also brought to you by Duraplus Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC and HDPE pipes and water tank. We are the only water storage tank with a level indicator, and where Duraplus goes, water flows. This afternoon, anti-corruption campaigners lash out at the presidency's decision not to release the full KPMG report on the controversial SML deal. Details, as they say, it undermines trust in the government's commitment to fighting corruption.
Are we saying that some issues that were identified in that report are explosive, and for that matter, Ghanaians should not know?
It raises suspicion and some red flags that what potentially is the presidency hiding.
We have more as the Media Foundation for West Africa serves notice it is not going to rest until it gets the full report.
And we would go according to the law to take up the further processes to ensure that our rights are vindicated.
Also in this package, Electoral Commission warns party agents and individuals against any form of disturbance in its registration exercise after police arrested 3 at Tepa in the Ashanti region for disrupting the process yesterday.
You see, nobody should even dare to try to disrupt the process, and we will not leave any stone unturned to ensure that the right people are registered. Can I assure you?
Also, the EC resorts to offline registration following internet and technical hitches. And is Ghana losing its position as a preferred business destination in West Africa as some multinational companies continue to fold up, with some relocating to neighboring countries?
The government of Ghana doesn't care about the private sector. The government doesn't care about creating jobs. It's only interested in governments and the people that benefit from the largest.
We'll get to hear from government, which says it is working to fix the problem that is pushing businesses out.
Now you see giant, big multinational companies advertising their intentions to exit the country. It is not too good for us. So we are doing everything possible to address these issues. And
we have sports.
As today, May 9 marks exactly 23 years since Ghana experienced one of the worst disasters in football. There have been renewed calls for measures to ensure such an incident never happens again. And
much later, hundreds of houses identified in the Sakumono and Wager Ramses areas to be demolished as the Greater Accra Regional Security Council declares the area a security zone with the deployment of personnel to protect the site.
Anybody who is in the core area, definitely it will be cut. It will be touched. So long as you are in the water, we're inside the water, we pull it down.
But there's an exception to the planned demolition.
There are some people outside the catchment area, around the buffer area, that they need regularly.
We have that and more in this afternoon's edition of the Midday News. I am Emefa Apawu, and this is your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Please do stay on. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, what are you hiding from the public? These are words of some anti-corruption activists who are strongly criticizing the presidency's refusal to grant a right to information request from the Media Foundation for West Africa for the complete KPMG audit report on the revenue mobilization agreement between the Ghana Revenue Authority and Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited, SML. They say the action undermines trust in the government's commitment to fighting corruption. In a letter to the Media Foundation for West Africa signed by the Chief Director to the Chief of Staff, H.M. Wood, the presidency expressed regret for being unable to fulfill the request, citing the confidential nature of the report. We'll be hearing from them shortly, but first, my colleague Maxwell Agwagwa joins me in studio with the full details of the response from the presidency. Walk us through it, Maxwell.
Well, it says, upon careful consideration and in accordance with Section 5 of the RTI Act, I regret to inform you that your request has been refused. That That section of the RTI states that information prepared for or submitted to the President or Vice President containing opinions, advice, deliberations, recommendations, minutes or consultations are exempt from disclosure, and that disclosure of such information would compromise the integrity of the deliberative process by revealing the thought process, considerations and influence on decision making reserved for the highest offices of the land. Now, the full KPMG audit report, it says, comprises opinions, advice, deliberations, and recommendations that are integral to the President's deliberative process and therefore qualifies as exempt information, Emefa.
Well, that's the full details of that particular communication from the presidency to the Media Foundation West Africa. Well, they've been reacting, and the executive director, Suleiman Abrahima, is reaffirming the commitment of the foundation to obtaining the full report. He says they will use every legal means possible to ensure it happens.
I think that the response from the presidency, for me, clearly demonstrates an indication on the part of the presidency not to be transparent with the people of Ghana in relation to this, very stinky deal between GRA and SML. Fortunately, the RTI Act makes provisions for further processes if one is not pleased with the initial decision of the information holder, and we would go according to the law to take up the further processes to ensure that our rights are vindicated.
And when do you intend to do this?
Well, we are taking immediate steps to go through the next processes that we have to go through, because certainly I think the president or the presidency is abusing the exempt provision, misinterpreting it, and it just basically to satisfy their decision not to make a full disclosure of whatever findings KPMG had made on this audit report.
Well, anti-corruption advocates have criticized government for withholding the full KPMG report on the SML deal. They say this can lead to the erosion of trust in anti-corruption efforts. Here are two of them: Executive Director of the Ghana Integrity Initiative, Mary Ada, and anti-graft campaigner, Edem Senanu.
It is unfortunate because these are some of the perceptions that fuel the results that we get in most of our surveys. Accountability is very critical. The president has power to exempt information, but then it becomes ridiculous when information that should be basic information is also categorized under this. What national security threat does the SL report or the KPM report for the SFL pose to the people of Ghana? Are we saying that some issues that were identified in that report are explosive and for that matter Ghanaians should not know? Are we saying that there are information in the report which maybe would have indicted some person and for that matter we do not want people to know about?
It raises suspicion and some red flags that what potentially is the presidency hiding by not wanting to release the report. Because on what grounds? Why would one not want to release a report that has so much public interest? So it leaves the impression that perhaps there are aspects of that report that are negative, that raise issues and questions which they don't want the rest of the public to be aware about.
Anti-corruption campaigners Mary Ada and Edem Senanu, they are now legal practitioner and lead member of the RTI coalition, Samson Ladi Anyenini, says the presidency is completely wrong in suggesting and misleading the public that the information submitted to the president is exempt information once it contains advice, opinion and recommendation.
To the extent that this is a matter in the public interest, it is important to invoke Section 17 so that you don't pick and choose what suits your interest. And this is a misguided, misleading, and most importantly, an attempt to confuse the public in such a bizarre way.
Now, Samson Ladi Anyenini, their leading member of the RTI coalition. Now, is the matter on this KPMG report closed? Is the presidency subject to change its mind? Presidential Affairs correspondent Elton Broby joins me in studio with details of what we're learning. Elton, what's the latest on this?
So what we just spoke in the last hour is that the report is likely to be released before the weekend. That is the information we picked from the presidency. And that President Akufo-Addo is very much in favor of full public disclosure. from people we've spoken to at the Jubilee House. Now, they also tell us that the fact that GR has already taken some steps on this one, including the cancellation of some aspect of the contract and then the review of some of them, gives indication that everything that is contained in the KPMG report is being adhered to. Now, they make mention of the fact that the president gave not only his recommendation to the GRA, but the totality, without reservation, of all the recommendations by the KPMG. But the report, we are told, is likely to come out before the end of the weekend.
Okay, well, following that closely, and that's Presidential Affairs correspondent Elton Brobe will stay a while longer at the presidency, this time with a focus on the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and he's urging African countries to emulate Ghana's digitalization agenda, which, according to him, has been the key driving force in the country's fight against corruption. Addressing participants at the annual general meeting of heads of anti-corruption agencies in Africa, Dr. Bawumia indicated that since passport and driver's licenses acquisitions went digital, the physical exchange of monies have been eliminated, thereby blocking any avenue for bribery or financial inducement.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, I posit to you that the right tools and its use, we can deploy digitalization to defeat the worst forms of public corruption, including the networks that underpin them. While bribery and revenue leakage and corrupt networks and value chains are some of the most pressing issues in the fight against corruption, what threatens the future of African youth? We also have at our disposal digital technologies to identify members of corrupt networks.
That's Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. My colleague Kenneth Jesse is at that Commonwealth Anti-Corruption Agencies in Africa meeting currently underway here in Accra. Kenneth, we know that the Vice President also makes mention of the elimination of 50,000 ghost names on the NSS payroll, amongst others. Tell us more.
Yes, and we've got anti-corruption crusaders from around the continent sharing the same sentiment that corruption is one of the biggest problems that has bedeviled Africa for decades. A country like Sierra Leone says that adopted its own corruption fighting mechanism, and although it is yielding some results, it hasn't been as effective as they would have wished. Dr. Bawumia did indicate that Africa has lost more than $1 trillion to corruption in the last 50 years. And more worrying is the fact that Africa loses $50 billion to corruption every year, which is a big problem for the continent. He mentioned that the digitalization drive has helped eliminate ghost names from the national insurance, national.
That's my colleague Kenneth Jesse there giving us updates from that Commonwealth Regional African Anti-Corruption heads meeting here in Accra. Beg your pardon on behalf of Kenneth there. We had to lose him there on the line. But on to some other stories, and the Ghana Chamber of Commerce is warning more foreign businesses will stop operating in the country unless government fixes concerns of industry and the business community. Notable brands such as Glovo, Nivea, Jumia Foods, Unilever Ghana's Lipton Tea, Duck and Lovely, BET 365, Game and BIC, just to name a few, have all decided to exit the Ghanaian market, sparking concerns about the possible effect on job creation and the broader economic growth issues. We can hear from the Chief Executive of the Chamber of Commerce, Mark Biduabwaje.
If you take, for instance, Jumia and also the Glovo, in a situation as we find ourselves with a high operational cost, high interest rate and the rest, you realize that the companies that will fall quickly and earlier are those with the smallest margin, because their business model depends on the ability of the Ghanaian to purchase a product, a food. So if Ghanaians are not buying, it means Glovo, it means Jumia will not be there to distribute. And of course, Ghanaians are not buying because sales have gone down. Purchasing power has gone down. There is no money in the pocket of ordinary Ghanaians. 2, 3, 4 years ago, if you have observed, there were a number of courier companies running around Accra, motorbikes with this box behind them. check and see whether they are still there. They are all gone. I know one of them that was employing about 25 riders, 25, and 15 office operators. Now it's totally gone. Those people are home. The bike that they use at that time, the Boxer bike, was probably the most cheapest one they were using. It was 3,000, 4,000. Now it's 20,000 Ghana cedis. So we should be concerned about what is happening and find a lasting solution immediately. If you don't do that, within the next 6 months, we are likely to see more of them living, and the consequences will be there for Ghana.
That's the Chief Executive of the Chamber of Commerce, Mark Abuaje. Now, Director of Dalex Finance, Ken Thompson, is blaming the government for creating a hostile business environment in the country.
For me, it's very simple. The government of Ghana doesn't care about the private sector. The government doesn't care about creating jobs. The government is not interested. It's only interested in governments and the people that benefit from the largest. The government of Ghana does not listen. Every time we complain, they reel out projects that have been done. We build this block. We build this garden. We build this fountain. Who cares? We're in a situation where we're living day to day. We cannot plan. We don't know where we invest. Our hard-earned savings are gone. And, nobody's listening. The government does not care. All the government cares about is spending more and more money on itself. So, what's the consequence? Interest rates are high. You can't do business. The population is poor, so they can't spend. Infrastructure, critical infrastructure is weak. Water, electricity, roads is weak, and when you can find it, it's expensive. If you start a business last year with 100,000, that 100,000 now is worth probably 30,000. Who does business like this?
Dalex Finance Ken Thompson there speaking on the Super Morning Show. Well, Joy News is learning the Trade and Industry Minister met with the business community in a move to understand their concerns and find solutions to them. We can hear from the Deputy Trades Minister, Michael Ochibrefi. He tells Joy News government is unhappy with the development.
We have started engaging some of them, and I can tell you in confidence that the engagement has been good. One or two companies that we had a meeting with, it's been good. But the long and short of the matter is that these issues or concerns that they raise, which are very challenging to the operations, are things that are not permanent, are not going to be permanent. These are things that we are going through in the shortest possible time, and we are so sure that we'll bounce back big, and the whole economy will change, and therefore will also affect business. So we are sure, we have given them assurance, in that area, and also tried as much as possible to address some of their immediate challenges, as in the area of competition, the local competitors, and doing other things that will not inure to the benefit of the customer in the long term. Government is so concerned about this, and that's the fact. Not only in the area of job creation, but also, it's also not good for us as a country. Doing so well in other spheres of the economy.
Deputy Trade Minister Michael Ochibrefi. It's time to enter the election headquarters. And your election headquarters is made possible by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity. CIMA, the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, CIMA, AICPA, and CIMA together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants, and the German Ozone Medical Center, Alternative Therapy, Dental Wellness and Beauty. And this afternoon, the Electoral Commission is warning individuals and political party agents against disturbances in the ongoing limited voter registration exercise. Well, this was after 3 individuals, namely Abbas Abukari, George Vino, and Abdul Karim, were apprehended by the police for disrupting the exercise in Tepa in the Ashanti region. They are currently in police custody, aiding investigations. We can hear from Benjamin Banobu, the Ashanti Regional EC boss.
Nobody should even dare to try to disrupt the process, because the security is there, and the security will take up such people, and they will not even allow them to get closer to our centers, as you indicated in Tepa. They were not allowed to even get to the registration centers, and we will not leave any stone unturned to to ensure that the right people are registered. And I can assure you, we will not also permit anybody to try to adversely affect the smooth process of our registration exercise.
And the Commission is also communicating that they are resorting to offline registration process as a backup for the internet and technical challenges that affected the process.
However, to every plan, there should be a plan B. When the situation is such that we cannot control the internet connectivity issues, Commission issued a directive that we go offline. We'll be using offline until such time that the connectivity issue is restored.
That's the Ashanti Regional EC boss, Benjamin Banobio. My colleague Nana Bwache Dankwa Yadom is monitoring the process, joins us on the line. Nana, what can you report?
Well, Emefa, from the various centers that we have visited this morning, the process has been very smooth. The EC boss, Benjamin Banobio, just as you heard, has been resorting to offline registration. Now the EC is not resorting to online registration due to the intermittent power cuts, and then also the technical challenges that they experienced during the first 2 days of the registration exercise. And so for now, per our monitoring, the process has been smooth, and then first-time applicants are getting their voters ID just as expected.
That's my colleague Nana Bwache Dankwa Yadom reporting from the Ashanti region. Meanwhile, in the central region, the majority leader Alexander Afenyo-Marking indicates that there are still network challenges in his constituency of Futu and hopes that the EC will rectify it.
The frustrations, the delays must be addressed. So I'm urging the Electoral Commission to ensure that they have a backup system. We are told that previously they used to have a system where even when the network was down, they had an offline system which was readily available for registration, so that when the system comes up, it picks immediately. I'm told that the new system is a bit cumbersome. So if they can work at it and ensure that they have an effective offline system which would allow for registration even when the network is down, it will help, because as it is, the frustrations are one too many.
Alexander Afenyo-Marking, their majority leader, taking us on a quick break. We know also that much later, the national chairman of the NDC will also be addressing a press conference on the limited voter registration exercise. We're all over it for you. We'll take a quick break. The Midday News is sponsored by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity. Petrosol, always a delightful experience. Also brought to you by Duraplus Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC and HDP pipes and water tank, the only water storage tank with a level indicator. And where Duraplus goes, water always flows. Return with sport. And then Otumfo at 25, a tale of Asantehene's exemplary leadership in peace building and development.
He doesn't discriminate. He loves everyone.
When budgets are tight and money difficult to come by, you want to be sure you get the best value for your money. These are not times to be spending money fixing expensive engine problems because of cheap fuel and lubricants. Drive to a Petrosol station today and buy your quality fuel and lubricants, and rest assured of fuel that lasts long and lubricants that prevent expensive engine problems. Hear the sound. Petrosol, clean fuel in full quantity.
It's the 3i Africa Summit, where innovation, impact, and investment converge, where technology drives transformation. From the 13th to the 15th of May 2024, heads of state, central bank governors, thought leaders, innovators, investors, academics, and entrepreneurs will converge to unleash Africa's full potential. Discover the power of digital assets, explore the state of digital growth in Africa, and unveil lessons from Africa's central bank digital currency experiments. Engage in discussions on diversity in the creative arts and tech, financing Africa's SMEs, and bridging the digital gender gap. Network with investors, pitch your ideas, and access funding at the 3i Africa Deal Room and Pitchfest. Join us at the Accra International Conference Center as we ignite a fintech revolution for Africa's financial future. Visit 3iafrica.com to register now.
Well. How is your good life?
Mine has been great, My entire family and I sleep under insecticide-treated net every night, throughout the night, and wake up feeling sound every day with absolutely no mosquito bite.
My good life has been terrific. My entire family and I, we wash our hands with soap and running water before we cook and eat, and after using the toilet, we don't play with it.
When my wife was pregnant, I accompanied her to every antenatal session. She took all her medication, ate balanced diet, and gave birth without any complications. My good life has been smooth.
Let's all come aboard Good Life and live healthy and happy. Good Life, live it well. It's an everyday thing. Good Life from Ghana Health Service and partners with support from USAID.
Hello, Ghana. Are you tired of the same old political rhetoric? Do you believe it is time for a change that truly represents the voices of our youth, women, and children? I present to you Nana Kwame Bediako. He is a visionary leader with a passion for making our country better through innovative industrial revolution. Together, we can change the political narrative and create a government that truly represents the interest of all citizens. Join this journey to build a better and inclusive future for all by contributing to our Save Ghana Fund campaign. Your support, no matter the amount, is not just a donation. It is an investment in the shared desire for a more prosperous, equitable, and better nation. To donate, visit www.nkb.com.gh or dial *887 *2024 #. Thank you for your support.
Time for sports on the Midday News. Mubarak is here.
Yes, Emefa. So it's been 23 years since the tragic May 9 disaster during the match between Hearts of Oak and Asante Kotoko at the Accra Sports Stadium, where over 126 fans lost their lives. Now, Herbert Mensah, who then was the chairman of Asante Kotoko and now president of the May 9 Foundation, is calling for measures to ensure such an incident never happens again.
May 9th has become symbolic of so many things. The critical issue is we should not forget. The critical situation is that we should at least set the benchmark for this sort of thing to never happen again. Yes, there are other issues happening in terms of violence at sporting events which must stop. So May 9th we say, we haven't forgotten. We're there to support. Join us in remembering not only the victims, because many now have been gone for over 23 years. We have to come together as one to make life better for others.
Yeah, so that's Herbert Mensah, then chairman of Asante Kotoko. Back to you, Emefa.
Thank you very much, Mubarak. Now, hundreds of houses identified in the Sakumono and Wajeramse sites will be demolished to protect the ecological zone. The Greater Accra Regional Security Council took the decision, which will also see the deployment of the military and police to protect the site until there is sanity in these areas. We can hear from the Regional Minister, Titus Glover, speaking to my colleague, Elton Brobe.
We resolve that we need to declare the whole area a security area. That is number one. The assemblies in Waja, Apawu, Ablekuma West, Tema West, Metro Assembly, we need to erect some signposts telling these guys to get themselves out of that place.
Right.
We are coming to put security right at the places to make a 24-hour surveillance in these areas.
So I was asking, those who have built already, would they see their buildings demolished since they have acted illegally?
There's some work that has been done by my predecessor, the Land Commission and the Forestry Commission. And there are some people outside the catchment area, around the Papa area, that they need to regularize.
That's the Greater Accra Regional Minister Designate Titus Glover there speaking on The Pulse with Elton Brobe. Happens on the Joy News channel at 3 p.m. each day. Now, he's a monarch whose exemplary leadership has brought glory to his kingdom and etched the rich traditions and culture of Asantes into global history books. Emmanuel Bright Kweku tells the tale of the gallant man of Asante, Berima Kwekudria, also known as Yotumfo Seitu II.
Monday, April 26, 1999, when Berima Kwekuduya, as he was then known, swore the oath of allegiance to Asanteman and ascended the golden stool, Sikeja Kofi.
He doesn't discriminate. He loves everyone.
The vision of Otumfuo Setitu II encompasses education, health, and economic development.
If we should go back in Ashanti history, it's like Osebosu. His diplomacy transcended everything else.
Shortly after his installment, the Otumfuo Setitu II Foundation was launched as a relief plan for his people and as an extension, the whole of Ghana.
Through the World Bank assistance grant given to him, the fund was able to put up 6 classroom block, 6 teachers' apartments for 22 different rural communities.
The Asantehene's pivotal role in women empowerment in the kingdom cannot be overlooked.
His Royal Majesty has really encouraged Queen Mothers for us to know our deep position as a Queen Mother and our rules of engagement.
Otumfuo Setitu has brought peace and reconciliation to his kingdom since he's been in power.
Asantis love and tolerate everyone.
In February 2020, he became the first person to receive the Pillar of Peace award.
We will continue to pay homage to the Asantehene.
He is a mini god.
To his people, the Asantehene Otumfuo Setitu II remains a true leader, a custodian of culture and a protector of the ancestral left in his care. Reporting for Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bright Creek.
And that's the Asantehene Otumfuo Setitu Jackie MNJ. Yeah. Let's wrap up.
Well, on Twitter, people are talking about May 9th, 23 years ago, and they're talking about where they were when it happened. And I remember 23 years ago, I just finished eating awokbula and agbamotadi, basically banku and pepper.
Always food.
And it was a rainy day actually, and then I started seeing the visuals on television. Some years later, just last year, I got tear gassed during a protest at Circle. That was when I had a better appreciation of what the people went through. Rest in peace to all the lost souls.
Yeah. And Emefa, of course, Throwback Thursday. Last week, we posed a question about the Ghanaian TV shows. And today we put out the question on what were some of the favorite old foreign telenovelas in Ghana. And the question, we put like 4: Acapulco Bay, Rosalinda, Passions, and Generations. But Emefa, which one was your favorite?
I think Acapulco Bay.
Well, I can't relate to that.
Esmeralda.
Rosalinda. Okay. Yeah, I did. I watched Rosalinda.
Yeah, we have the theme song for Esmeralda and Rosalinda. So we can end the bulletin.
We end with that. And that's how we end today's edition of the Midday News. Living Word with Pastor Mensaltable is up next, working with a new episode 1. I am Emefa Apawu. Living Word is up next, like I said, and we have more on myjoyonline.com.